Hello and welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks or so since I last made a video, although as I make them quite a way ahead, this is just the next one in the line. So I've been spending my time removing some of the original point wiring and the switches and the capacitor discharge unit. We can see we're taking the cabling out from the board there. I will get those holes filled in at some point, I think. So I've got the first accessory module in, and we'll have a look at a bit of footage in a moment. I've got just 1 point operational as it stands at the moment, and hopefully some more will be underway in the coming weeks. It's just a time-consuming thing. So, as I said, this is a sort of prelude to me dismantling the entire railway and starting something completely different. But we'll have a quick look at this and see how we do with the locomotives I already have set up. Now you can see the switches. I'm just peeling them away. They were held down with screws, but then we'll get all those put away for use another time. So here we have the Class 37 running, and she's got the Mark II coaches from the late 60s, early 70s with lights in. So they were originally illuminated, but I've swapped them over to LED, and I just used a method of doing that which I saw on John's Amazing Trains. I'll leave a link to that. Quite straightforward and quite effective. I just replace the old bulbs with LEDs and gets a similar effect. I think it's quite interesting. And here we go. We'll swap a point over now with the accessory module switched. And then we'll give it a bit more power. Still can't get used to the way the models move against that slider switch. It's a very strange effect, or at least I find it is anyway. Lovely shot there, running into the station. HST sitting there waiting to go. And I'll bring it gently to a stop there. B17 with some LNER teaks in the background there. So we'll get a point switched by hand, and then we'll choose locomotive 16, which is the HST. And we're running in reverse out of the station here, so you'll see it struggle a little with the point work. It's a little bit uneven in pickup, I think, was causing some of its trouble there. Beautiful shot there. Coming towards camera, you see my uneven track work. They make a lovely sound on the rails, the wheels on this model. There, it's just struggling with some of the points. I've had a bit of shorting out on these. Seem to have solved some of the problems. We'll get her on the run around the railway there, straight across the diamond crossing. Again, a tiny hesitation sometimes on there, through that lovely curve underneath the gantries, down the back of the station. And then we'll have to come to a gentle stop before points number 1. And then we're going to need to switch those before we can proceed. So this is a couple of days later, and I've got the lot of stuff out from under the railway. I've got another point connected up to an accessory module. So we've got the one by the goods shed there. I don't know if I hold that up. Sorry, that's a bit wobbly. So if I go for accessory number 2, and we'll set that for curved, and then we'll throw that back again. So I've got that one in. So it's just a matter of running the wires through. I have a basic plan of what I'm going to do now. So I have enough modules, I think, just to do the basic points, and including the crossovers. I've calculated that at 12, so I have 12 working ones and a couple of non-working ones. Let's give that HST a bit of a run. So I can't remember which locomotive I've got selected, so we'll choose locomotive 16, enter, there we go, and we'll run it forward around the railway. So let's move over here, So I'm tripping over cardboard boxes here, so let's give that a little power. And we'll let that run around. We can see I've got the class 37 up there, although I've got a tripod in the way, sitting up there, so I've got the elevated section now live. So if I assign number, let's see if I can do this. So if I assign locomotive 1, controller, I've got that wrong. So controller 2, locomotive 1, enter. So ideally now, I can't get all of this in shot, I don't think. There we go. So we've got that one running on that one. And do we get this in shot as well? So I can't get all of that in shot at the same time, but you get the general idea. So elevated section is live, so I can bring the class 37 down. So let me open up the points again. So that would be accessory 2, set for curved. Let me hold that in the other hand. So get the correct controller. Down on the level ground. Again, sorry, we're working in a bit of a mess today. So let's see if that'll creep across the diamond. A little bit of a pause. Now I'm going to have to kill some power there, otherwise we're going to run into the HST. Let me see if we can get that right up to the back of the HST. There we go, I managed to stop it in time. So let me see if I can get the HST to move away. There we go, so we've got points number 2 open, haven't we? So let's stop that there. So accessory 2, set for straight. And then we can roll the other side of there. And then if we go for accessory 2 and curved again, change the direction of the HST, and it should run up onto the elevated section. And we have a nice crash. So I wasn't really expecting that, but I've just had a look over here and you can see what's happened. The point switch mechanism, or the lever, seems to have disintegrated. You can see that. So I don't know whether I can lean in here and point. See, that's popped off there, and the spring's lying there, and there's the crank arm. So it's all sort of lying loose at the moment. So that must have just happened. So I've only just replaced another point down here. This one, number 1, had a similar problem, been like that for ages. I'd rebuilt it a number of times and kept it in action, but this is a new one that's disintegrated on me. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to repair that one. I think I have to move a few things to do that. I don't know whether to just to take the entire point out. Let's see if I can move. Let's just move locomotive number 2. So let's get that one open, that one, and 1B. So point 1, it's not 1B anymore, it's just 1. There we go. So that B17, so that's locomotive number 2, enter, and that should be in reverse. So let's see if we can just back that out a little and improve the view of the disintegrated point switch. can't quite hold the camera far enough over, so I think if those coaches are out of the way, remarkably well behaved. I don't want to back that into the Class 37, so let's just park that in the station. So we'll flip that one. We'll not put it there, we'll put it there on the other platform. So let's change direction. That's all safely in there. So let's switch this one so we don't run into it perhaps. Let's have another quick look at this. So that coach out the way, it's a bit easier to see. There we go. So I think what I'll do is I'll get that sorted out in the next hour or two, but I think we'll have a look at something else. So there, I've got everything else back on the rails, but yeah, not what I was planning. Never mind. So while we're here, let's just have a quick glance at some of these. So I think we'll have a quick look at these on the bench, on the workbench. I've got some of these set up, or one of these set up. It's a nice price on there. Model Sports, $14.85. I'm not sure what year that is. I've tested these, so that's definitely working. All of these are working. There's an unboxed one, definitely used. That one's in working condition as well. So ideally we'd get all of those in there. So I don't know if I can just climb down here and we can have a look at the module. Actually, we'll cut from this and we'll rejoin it when I'm underneath the railway. So all of the point switch wiring went into these and the isolating tracks. So I've just bridged those with these little loops. So all of the sections are live, so I don't need the isolating tracks in this instance, and there's some more of them over here. So I'm very aware I'm going to bash my head into something here. So all of those there. So we've got the module, the first module in, sorry about waving that around. So we've got one of the accessory modules in there, and here we go, we've got connected up here and here. I've had to run a black wire to the switch, which is, strangely, they choose green. Hornby have chosen green for their middle wire, or what I call the middle wire anyway. Everything else was wired up the other way around before. The black wire was the middle wire or the common. So I think if we have a look at that on the bench now, just have a look through the cable in there. There is the accessory module. So that does points numbered 1 to 4. I suppose we could have a look at the back end of that switch we saw last video. I don't know whether we can get in there. So that's the little motor controller that I've got there for controlling the turntable. And that's the switch for changing its direction. Here's another accessory module. This one came to me, it was already coded up as 13 to 16, although I have switched its purpose, so we can do this colour light signal. And as you can probably see, it does have quite a significant flicker. So I'm not quite sure why that flickers, or whether that's even picking up on the camera. But that's not an LED, that's a regular type bulb. Let's have a look at that. So you can see that flickering away quite nicely there. So we can change direction, well, not direction, change colour on there. So if I select, that's on number 13, so there we go. So we can go to green, we can go to red, and back to green again. And what I hadn't realised was that you can switch these merrily like that, but when you switch everything off and then you switch it all back on again. So if I don't know whether I can reach down one-handed now. Let's just bend down. So we'll give that a moment. So that's all off again now. When you switch that back on again, it will revert back to red. So I really can't see the point in going through with that. My signals at the moment are on the on relays, changing with the point switches, but this system doesn't seem to support that as far as I can tell so far with my experiments. But I'm not sure I've got enough accessory modules to invest. Sorry, let's look at that. I'll plug that in, and that should come back up as red. So even though it was green when we switched that off, so I think that's quite an unusual thing. I think just a limitation of the electronics at the time. So we can throw the point there. So if we go for accessory 14, so 1, 4, and we'll switch that. Actually, wrong direction. There we go. And then back again. Set for straight. So I keep forgetting. So right hand arrow I've got set for straight, curved for left hand arrow. So that's all quite straightforward. So you can see this accessory module, somebody who had it before has definitely done a bit of twisting of the cables. And these little coding strips, I suppose you could call them, modules, they just plug into the side of it. If I show you the instructions, it would probably be easier than me trying to describe this. So accessory modules, it says here, I've looked it up, but I can never remember these dates. These are available 1980 to 87. So let's have a quick look through there. So they were suggesting you plug these into power clips into the rail to get the power to it. So I've just gone into the power supply under the board. So let's run through here. So here we go. So if you remove one of the fingers, you can assign one of its outlets. So in this case, I've gone for outlet number 1 for light, so it gives a continuous current. And if the finger's left in place, that gives you a momentary current, so a burst, so you can change the points. So you can see the options up there. I think that's quite a neat thing, possibly quite inflexible. And here we go. There's a way of coding the modules. You can have 100 items theoretically, or is it 99? I think, or in that figure by different coding of those. There's a chart here available. There we go. Actually, no, that's not the chart. We'll come back to that page. There's the chart. So this denotes which finger you remove for which section of numbers you want to assign to each module. So you can double these up to get your points to throw as pairs. So that's how I've planned. Or you can stagger them, so you can overlap a pair of numbers, perhaps. But I'm thinking that might be quite inflexible. So some quite lovely drawings in here. So they're really quite something when you look at them. Look how imprecise they are in the curves. So quite lovely things. These would have been originally drawn up by hand, perhaps, pre-computer graphics. So quite a nice set of illustrations. Actually, I know there was a page we said we were just going to go back to, wasn't there? And they've stuck something in here. So this has been pasted in after the the print run, sorry, is the word I'm looking for here. If the unit fails to respond to the intended code, or mode selected, this could be due to small amount of dirt accumulating under the coding contacts inside the coding recess. And then it goes on underneath here on how to clean those. So they are quite fragile things as well. I don't think they'll take much messing around with when you look at them. If you have a look at the insert picture there, you can see them. Although they do tend to get quite tarnished, so they do benefit from a bit of a clean. So where we look at these wonderful illustrations. So there's a basic colouring of the wires look. So black on the outside, green in the centre, red on the outside. So In all my other point wiring, I've always gone for black for the common. Although I don't think this is quite referred to as the common in this instance, but the green is definitely the centre wire. Let's see where I've connected that to. So there we go. So this wire is from the accessory module. God, that is flashing, isn't it? Let's change that to green and see if that flashes less. No, it just flashes away. So this cable comes from the accessory module. There we go. Nice mess of spaghetti there, and it runs to my black cable. This is a pre-wired one. When this point motor came to me, it already had cabling already soldered in, so I've just left it that way. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect up one of these older switches, and we'll run it through a capacitor discharge unit. This isn't the one that was on the railway, it's just a nicer one to use on the bench because it doesn't keep toppling over. And we'll see that, because I know a number of other people wanted to see the way that they ran. I've disconnected the 01 accessory module and switched all of that off for now, and hooked the point motor up to this Hornby Railways or Triang Hornby or Triang Railways black lever frame switch. These have been available for quite a long time. I can't remember the period of time these have been in production. Now I've split this open and soldered the wires on directly rather than using those little terminal connectors in there which constantly fall out. So it is possible to separate these. I float a little bit of light fluid into here, it melts the cement, and then you can just ease them apart quite easily, usually without breaking them. So let's just have a look at this one's got Triang written on it there, so made in England, and you can see the white areas or the rough areas there. They do look a little white sometimes where the glue has been. They're not bonded together hugely. They do tend to, the cement or glue is very dry now. They tend to come apart quite easily, and it does improve their reliability. So you can see we've got coming out of the 16 volt AC socket on the side of the clipper there into the discharge unit. So I think this is I can't remember the brand of this one, Gauge Master. It was branded as a Gauge Master unit. Oh, the instructions are now long lost. If you look on the internet, you'll be able to see these. I don't think they're terribly expensive. They're about sort of £7 or £8-ish, potentially. There's all sorts of other variations available. Lots of different ones to choose from. So that's between the supply from the controller to the point motor. So it just runs through there into the switch, and then this decides which way around you're going to throw the current, which throws the switch. There we go, and back again. And depending on which way around you have the red and the green wires, you can have your point lever in different positions with reference to the point blades, depending on your which way your main route is set. So these point switches aren't recommended for use with a capacitor discharge unit, although I've used it quite successfully for some time. And what you get is a double throw. When you're throwing this, you're throwing it the wrong way to start with, and then the correct way. So you are getting a double hit. So I suppose you are overworking the point motor. So you're off contact there, you're on contact, and then you're on contact. So it's giving it a charge in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. So perhaps there are a number of better switches. I think Peco makes some quite interesting looking switches, and there's these little micro switches, and you could also just use a stud and probe where you just touch the contact. So these are quite nice. Perhaps I'll just wire this one up and we'll have a quick look at that. So that's a center off, so you do get a true momentary contact on that. But that's the way I've been using them, and it's very successful. And then back again. So you can't go too quickly with it. And the discharge unit I was using on the layout, I should have brought it. I'll wire this one up and I'll get the other unit out. We'll have a look at it. Has a much quicker recharge time than this one. So there, I've got one of these little toggle switches wired in now Same discharge unit coming from the 16 volt AC off the clipper there. Excuse the mess on the bench. So I can't remember which way round this switch is now, so we'll give it a go. Wrong direction. There we go. And then back again. So it's probably a nicer switch to use, although the switch doesn't lie in the position the points are left, so it leaves you wondering which way the points are left when you're looking at the switches. Although I suppose lights could be built in for that. Well, it gets very, very complicated, so just having these, the position of the levers is quite nice to be able to see which way you've left the points. So I always thought that was quite nice, although when you do catch these when they're on the railway, they all spring across, which is quite annoying. They all have their drawbacks, and many people have their favourites of which switch is going to do what for them. So it's down to personal choice. This was the discharge unit that I bought 5 or 6 years ago, potentially now, on the old Super 4 layout, and it was much more effective in throwing those old heavy points, and it has a far superior recharge time, I think. It certainly seems that way in use. It seems to recharge very, very rapidly. Let me just have a quick look there. Now, I did buy this off the internet, off eBay, and I can't remember the name of the supplier, unfortunately. There's the info in there, look. So AC in. So it's quite a nice unit, and I'll certainly be using that again. I've been very pleased with that. This one does the job, but it doesn't quite throw the old Super 4 points in with quite as much confidence as that unit, and it certainly takes a little while longer to recharge. So pop that down. This one also, I think, I'll have shown it in a video quite some time ago, has a ready lamp on it, although usually I've got this tucked away under the bench, so the ready lamp doesn't really help me any, but it does sort of show how rapidly it does come back to life. But I think that's probably about it for today. So hopefully I'll get that point mended, which is on the layout, which caused the crash earlier on. Let's just swing around and look. So it's all very much sort of in progress. So the whole thing is a bit of an experiment, and you see I've got sort of boxes all over the place here. So I've got that bit open so I can work under the bench. And I've got other things stored in other parts of the house to enable me to work freely under the railway at the moment. So thanks again for watching, and if you look back again next time, we'll see if we can have a bit more action on the railway, and perhaps a different model to have a look at for a change.